Welcome to the Shine Seeker Show, the podcast where strategy and soul come together, because the best business plan in the world can't do its job if you don't believe you're worth building it. I'm your host, Katie Beth Schultz, founder of the Sunburst Strategies Co. and your Shine strategist. Every week, we're going from scattered to strategic with real conversations, real marketing strategy, and honest moments that remind you are already worthy of the shine you're seeking. Let's get into it. I'm not going to start this business. So I was not sitting at a desk with a business plan or coming up with ways I could make money. I was literally standing in a salvage shop in my hometown thinking about my living room. And somehow that afternoon led to everything that the Sunburst Strategies Co. is today and this episode that you're listening to. So I think a lot of women who are in business, have created their own businesses and are entrepreneurs might have started the same type of way. Like you didn't set out to create this huge thing. Like you were just in the right place at the right time, had the right idea, or talked to the right people, or you were really good at something. And you said, hey, maybe someone wants to give me money for this. This is my story, and this is how Sunburst Strategies Co. came to be. So here's the story. I was born and raised here. We now live in my hometown of Burlington, North Carolina. But when I was 18, I could not wait to get out of here, as I'm sure a lot of you may feel about your hometown. Funny enough, I have run into a ton of people from my childhood or that we went to high school together, and they all said the same thing, and they're now back raising families here too. Anyways, after high school, I went to college, and then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia to be a professional company dancer. I danced my whole life since I was 3 years old, and I decided that I wanted to be a professional company dancer when I grew up. So I was auditioning my year of college. I knew I didn't want to go to New York or live in New York. I liked visiting there, but I didn't want to live there. I didn't want to live in Chicago. I didn't want to live in Miami or LA. So I started doing some things about the creative and performing arts industry in Atlanta. I said, oh my gosh, that's right up my alley. Let's go check that out. So I got a gig being a professional company dancer in a modern ballet company in Atlanta. And throughout that time, I danced with some other companies and landed on the modern dance company that I spent the most time with. And through that time, I met my husband, and he was in the entertainment industry as well, in music, which was a much bigger deal than dance at that time in Atlanta. And we met, and just like the fairy tale story, it sounds like we fell in love, we got married, we bought a house out in the suburbs of Atlanta, and we had a little girl. When we had our little girl, it was COVID, and it was terrifying because she was born at the beginning of COVID in June when no one knew what was going on, what was safe, what was true, what was not. It was just total chaos. And so during that time is when we started kind of playing around with the idea and formulating, hey, I think we might want to move to North Carolina and be near my family. So that is how we find ourselves here today. So during that time, I thought that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. So when my daughter started sleeping through the night, I would get up and try to have some time for me and figure out what it is I was going to do. I was starting to think maybe I don't want to be a complete stay-at-home mom, but I'm not sure what that looks like. So I was scrolling Pinterest one day and I found a pin that said how to monetize blogging. Now, I was really interested in that because my background as an artist, you have what we call day jobs. And so, my background is in small business. I have over a decade of small business experience. Each and every business that I worked for was owned by a woman. It was a woman startup, except for the last one. It was a male startup. Learned great lessons, and that is kind of where I didn't know it at the time, but that's where my philosophies and the Sunburst Strategies Co was being formulated was through those experiences at my day jobs. And in the company as well. So when I saw how to monetize blogging, I was like, I had always wondered about this. And remember, this was probably about 6 years ago. And so I think a lot of people may know how to do that now, but at the time it wasn't as widely recognized on how to do that. And so my background being a little bit in e-commerce, I was like, wow, I want to learn how to do that. So I took this little $50 course and I was learning about how to monetize blogging. I was like, wow, I would be incredibly great at this. And so I then started making my own website. The course taught me how to use a website platform, and I just did it just for me. Um, I wanted to use everything that I have learned and figured out in life at that point. Um, to create something, and I needed a creative outlet since I wasn't dancing and people weren't physical contact with one another. And that's really strange as an artist where you create things with other people. And so that's where it started. So I created a website. I was trying to learn about offers. I was trying to learn about products and services and how to sell them and marketing and all the things, taking all this knowledge that I have built at my day jobs and kind of treating it over into the online space. So as I did that, created my website, totally failed. I don't know if it ever really got a good launch out of it because it was then at that time I kind of finished up my website and we said, hey, the time has come, we're moving to North Carolina. So we come here and everything's put on pause. And we move into this beautiful home in the same neighborhood about as my parents and as where I grew up. So we're in the historic district. So the house that we live in is over 100 years old. And I had learned about the local salvage shop. So if you're familiar with what salvage shops are, they are when these old historic homes are being renovated. Sometimes they take the light fixtures out or take the wood out or take a door out or window, whatever it is, and then they will donate it to a salvage shop, and then that salvage shop will resell it so that you can then refurbish it and resell it yourself or put it in your home, etc. So we were there just checking out some decor because this house was larger than our last house. We had never lived in a historic home together as the Schultz family. And so I was going to check that out. While we were there, they actually had a picture of our house on a postcard. I said, oh my gosh, this is my house. And that salvage shop is run by our local preservation group. And so everyone said, oh my gosh, you got that house. We saw that house was for sale, blah, blah, blah. So we just start chatting it up. And they actually were looking for volunteers. So I was looking over the list of volunteer work that they needed, and they needed help with a website and graphics, social media. And again, I had built this um, foundation of those things in my day jobs over the past decade. And then I had started teaching myself how to do things in that year prior to us moving to North Carolina. So I said, "What? Well, I know how to do things on the computer, and I know how to build a website. I know how to do these things." So um, that's where it started. I started just doing volunteer work, and it wasn't because I wanted to start a business all of a sudden. It was just literally looking for connection in a new hometown. I haven't lived here in, you know, 20 years. And so it was interesting learning about this old place, but with new perspective, bringing a family here. And so I was really looking for connection. So I was volunteering, I was doing that. And one of the members asked me, "Hey, would you do what you've been doing for us for my business that I own? And can I give you money for that?" I was like, "You know what? Um, I would love for you to get money. Like, that would be really, really cool." And so, I I'm gonna stop right here. Okay, Kelsey, if you're watching this right now, which you are, because you're gonna edit it, I want to, back where it says I was looking for connection. That's where I want this next place to start what I'm about to say. So looking back now, I can clearly see what I was actually seeking. It wasn't a business, it wasn't money, it wasn't a brand. I was literally seeking a connection. Like I said, in a new hometown that had become unfamiliar to me and trying to figure that out, I was looking for connection with other people that was just for me in a season of life where I was doing so much and giving so much of myself to another person, to our family, to my daughter. So that was my shine. It was in a complete unexpected place, and it wasn't something that I had vocabulary for at that time. It's not like, "Oh, this is the shine that I'm seeking." Like, it takes a retro introspective moment to see, "Oh, that's what that was." It was me, Katie Beth, seeking my shine of connection. And so I give attention to that because I want you to understand that your shine is already so close to you. It's already somewhere inside of you that we just got to do some work to maybe uncover if we're not sure what that is yet. Even if you haven't named it yet, it is really close within you. So, like I said, one of the members of the preservation group asked if I could do the same kind of work for her that I was doing for the nonprofit. And I was like, "Yeah, you can absolutely give me money. I absolutely know how to do all of the things." And another thing about me to know, and that I think will resonate with a lot of you out there, is that I have always had this attitude, especially as a skill that got really sharp during my decade of over a decade of small business work. And then especially now having my own business, I have been of the mindset of, "Hey, if I don't know it, I will figure it out." And so I was like, "Yeah, I can do anything that you're asking me to do." So she says, "Awesome. Come to my house tomorrow at this time and let's figure out like what this relationship looks like." So I go home from the salvage shop that day, mess with the new decor that we've gotten, and then I get online. I create an LLC. I'm in the shower. That's where I came up with the name Sunburst Strategies. I was just really obsessed, still am, with sun and burst and what that meant and new beginnings and new life. And if you want to hear more about that, you can go listen to the first episode about why I called it Sunburst Strategies. Um, and I put together a menu of services and did some research on pricing and all of that stuff. So I had this cute little packet that I created, and I go to her house and I'm like, here you go. Like, here's what we do at the Sunburst Strategies Co. I'm sitting here saying we, like, it's just me. I made this up last, not even 24 hours ago, right? So, I gave it to her and I just held my breath and hoped for the best. And we worked together for like 2 years. And it was an incredible experience. And that is how the Sunburst Strategies Co. came to be by accident. All while I was searching and seeking for my shine. So from there, after that first client, I started getting more clients just by word of mouth. Then it did get to a point where I was seeking out clients and seeking out the type of work that I wanted to do. But during that work and creating social media for people and maybe doing some stuff on their website for them a little bit, I kept running into this wall. Like I kept seeing this pattern emerge that they really needed to take a step back and look at a bigger picture before we could move forward in their business. Because I was like, what are we even talking about on social media? How are we doing this? Why are we doing this? How does that relate to what you're selling, who you're selling to? I started asking myself all of these questions. So I started building a set of steps that I walked people through just instinctively, really, um, of, hey, you need to answer this list of questions before we can start working together. Like, I guess in the onboarding type situation, I didn't know and call it that. Then, but I just knew that this the system that I had created that up to that point was working. It was working so much better than just saying, "Hey, yeah, I'll do your social media. I'll do like 3 posts a week," or whatever it was. Um, and so I wrote this down. Let me read this. I was building this shine. St- I was literally building the shine strategy system before I even knew what it was, before I even called it something, before I even we had tweaked it and built it fully out. I would say probably at that time I was really just on the first step, the clarity step, and maybe some of the other steps here and there. But I just knew that I kept seeing the same gaps in every business that I was working on, and that what I was doing was filling those gaps and not only making that business owner's life easier and clearer, but it was making my life easier and clearer as their marketer because I knew how to talk to their audience. I knew who their audience was. And it was no longer this thing of, "Well, why isn't this working?" And I would, "Well, I'm just doing what you told me to do." And I started uncovering things that they didn't even know needed to be uncovered. So when I went with my first client that I talked about that I met there because of the salvage shop in my hometown, uh, as I was with her, I was getting other clients too, some on retainer, some on more on project basis. And as I said, I was building out the Shine Strategy system without even really knowing it. So I really wanted that first client to go through this process. And I could see that it was changing outcomes for clients, that their life easier, my life easier. But to be honest, they didn't see the return on that. They didn't see the outcomes because they haven't experienced that, right? Like, why were they going to give me some more money to do something that they were totally fine with the amount of money that they were paying to get the thing that they thought they wanted? It wasn't a priority for them. And so it was at that time, like we all have our first client, right? Like we had to start somewhere. I learned so much. I'm so grateful and thankful for that first experience. And I learned so much about how to build and run Sunburst Strategies Co. because of that client. And I think that one of the largest realizations that I got from that was this process, again, that I didn't know at the time, but the Shine Strategy System process was not something that could be optional. It was foundational, and it had to be something that clients were willing to work through with me so that we could both do our best work alongside each other. And one thing that this makes me think of is the word collaboration. And when I created the Summer Strategies Co., again, before it even formulated and grew and evolved into what it is today, and even when it grows and evolves into what it'll be years from now, the co at the end of the Summer Strategies Co., it never meant company. And a lot of people don't know that. It's not something I talk about that much. And I think the reason I didn't put the word I'm about to tell you all of the collaborative, it was meant to be called the Sunburst Strategies Collaborative. And I think I thought it was too long because it is very long. And then I think I ran out of characters when I was creating something. I don't remember what it was. And so I said, oh, okay, we'll just go with code. But that's a huge part of our ethos is the collaborative piece because this isn't something that I am doing for someone else. Like, yes, there's services that I am literally doing for the client, but I can't do those unless there's this collaboration and we're working alongside each other to make the business better. And so that really sat on my heart when that client and I couldn't come to the next agreement, the next contract to move forward is that, okay, this has to be a non-negotiable in my business. And this hurts right now and this really sucks, but I see the outcome. I see the light on the other side. I see the light at the top of the mountain. Like I have to make the Shine Strategy System process a non-negotiable. Every new client started with that system. And from that point on, because I made that choice and that decision, even though the in the interim, I saw the results get better for my clients and for the Summer Strategies Co. The work became more meaningful, like there was substance to it. And the system became the thing that people were coming to the Summer Strategies Co. for, not, kitty bath or y- do the social media. I mean, we still get that for sure. But people are coming to me because they're saying, hey, you do stuff differently. And whatever is different about y'all, it is working. And I want that. So I stopped being just a social media manager. And, at that time, I was like doing social media and being like a strategist on the side, working on the business as a whole. I stopped doing, I became a strategist that was helping women build the kind of businesses that set their soul on fire. I became someone who helped women and still does help women uncover the desires of their heart so they can get back to pursuing the passions they want to pursue and going after a life that they want to have. That's a very different thing than just being someone that does social media. And that completely changed everything. Okay. I am telling you all of this because I truly believe that there are a ton of women, entrepreneurs, business owners, and creatives out there that are building their businesses, their thing that they do that gives them extra income or is the income. I think they're building out their businesses the same way, where it's just during pockets of time. If you have children, it's in between the children things, the family things. And I think that it is in the midst of the work that you may be figuring out what the plan is. Maybe you don't exactly have a plan because the business kind of started by accident, but you love it and you're in this place where you're like, man, this thing is growing and I enjoy it. And I kind of need to figure out what next steps are. And that is where Sunburst Strategies Co comes in. I've been there. We have been there. It is how this business was built. And I see you and I hear you. And just know that there's no wrong way to start business. You start it how it was meant for you and how it worked for your life. But there does come a time where you reach a certain level and you have to make a choice. And I'm going to keep doing the same things I've always done up to this point, and I'm not comfortable there. And that's okay. You may be comfortable there, and that's fine. Or you may say, I'm kind of ready to take this thing to the next level and see what it can do and what can happen and how much money I can make, how many people's lives can I help transform. Like I've seen, this amount of people that I've helped thus far. What if I do that on such a greater level? So some things do have to change about the way that you have done things before up until this point to get to that next level. If you find yourself in a season like that right now, where you're building something and maybe you're not sure exactly what it looks like, maybe you're not even sure how to answer that question, you're comfortable doing what you're doing, or if it needs to change a little bit and look a little different, or what you want your life and business to look like, I have something for you. I have created a community of like-minded women, business owners, entrepreneurs, and creatives that have joined the free community, the Sunburst Strategies Co community, completely free to join. It is a place where you can ask questions, talk to each other. I jump in. I am posting every day. I am giving you these tidbits that are going to help you figure out your life and your business so that you can move forward, or so that you can decide you want to go a different way or a different path. And each month, I do a free 30-minute monthly marketing lab where we're digging into these kinds of things that we're talking about right now. Well, what do I do now? And I've done this work and now the work is shifting. So maybe I need to be a system or a process, or maybe this is my top seller. So maybe I need to change this thing over here about how I'm doing this. That is what the free Sunburst Strategies Co community is all about. And again, it's totally free. So I will drop the link to that in the show notes. I would love to see you inside. It's time for the question that we end every single episode with. What is the shine you're seeking? What is the business that you want to create? What's the life that you want to live? Not the business that you think you should build, not the version of success that looks good on paper. This is the real thing, the thing that makes you feel alive, It makes it feel like you are doing what you've been called to do and that you're doing your life's purpose. That's what we're building here. So ask yourself, what is the shine I'm seeking? I'm so glad that you came to hang out with me, and I will see you next week. Shine on.